Welcome to the Going North podcast, where you will be encouraged, informed, and empowered to embrace your dreams and advance in life through authorship. I'm your host, best-selling author, certified leadership trainer, and book enthusiast Dom Brightman. Be sure to check out the goods and services from every guest, as well as some of the books from yours truly, the host. Now let the fun begin. And today on the Going North podcast, we're bringing some fabulous humans from across the globe. Today is no different. Heck, it's actually somewhat of a different day because this is one of those Charm City bonus episodes, baby. That's right. Baltimore's got a lot of talent and it's busy hidden somewhere in a crab cake or even some charming humans. And we got one of those charming humans today because today's guest, my goodness, Christian writer, lecturer, college professor, screenwriter, and workshop host who plans and has this huge mission to bring everyone into the knowledge of Christ as they allow themselves to take a journey through faith for kingdom building and soul winning. So let's give it up for Miss CL herself, the fabulous Shang Laron. How you doing today, ma'am?
I am doing great. I am doing well. And I just want to take a moment to just thank you for the opportunity. This is phenomenal. And I want to enjoy it along with you.
Oh yeah, like an almond joy a bit.
Well, I like candy.
All righty. Time to play some cameo music because you taste like candy, baby. That's what I'm talking about. Well, enough of my nonsense. Hey, who am I kidding? I probably got like 50 more puns left in the next hour for you. But as with all introductions, I'm pretty sure you know there's some back of the resume stuff that everybody forgets since intros aren't allowed to be 53 days long. So mind filling in any cavities I missed about the wonderful Shang herself?
Oh, wow. So I'm Shane Laron. I have a nonprofit called Person Finances for Us. And I started it probably about 6 years ago because I saw how so many people in our communities were not realizing the power of their money. And I think we do ourselves a disservice when we continually consume and not realize the value of our actual dollar. I know that might seem like a cliche, but it's true. We do not value our dollar because if we did, we would take that same money and build products. We would use it to do innovative solutions in our communities. We would take those same dollars that we kind of throw. I'm not going to say we throw them away, but I think they're not best utilized. When you take $500 and you buy a pair of tennis shoes, I think why wouldn't you take that same $500 and invest in your community? I think that is why it is so important today with all the racial tensions that have erupted in our communities, that we realize that rallying is so important, protesting is so important, but economics and politics are married. And in that relationship, that is what people see. They see the economics and then they look at you politically. And in our communities, I think we have lost our power because we've given it to other communities.
Oh yeah, definitely. Can say that again because I mean, back when you lose all your power, you get to the point where you have nothing to lose, and then when someone comes from that position, then well, it's not a good one because then folks get desperate.
Yeah. And we're seeing the desperation here in Baltimore, Maryland. And it is one of those things where so many of our young people are so creative. They have so much latent within inside of them that has yet to be exposed. But they kind of teeter towards the violence because nobody has told them to allow their creative genius to emerge. And I think one of the things that we need to do while we're in the throes of this pandemic, COVID-19, we need to start taking our financial wherewithal seriously. I have told everybody that what are you going to do now? You know, the government has given you a stimulus check. The government has given out loans. They're deciding what is essential and who can go back to work and what businesses should be open. And at the same time, what are we going to do differently? Are we going to sit back and say, hey, I'm gonna wait for the government to take care of me, or are we going to stand up and say, finally, we need to start saving ourselves? That has always been my mantra, that we have to save ourselves. And I believe that we do that, Dominique, $1 at a time. We got it. No longer do we have the luxury to just wait and say it's somebody else's responsibility to take care of us. It is our responsibility. We are consumers. We have trillions of dollars that if we just invest in ourselves, invest in our communities, invest in innovation and creativity, we can pull our own selves out of these slums that we have allowed to engross upon us.
Oh yeah, you can say that again. I heard somewhere that some communities refer to the black community as the liquid money community because as soon as you allow black folks to get certain money and they get paid, it just falls out the hands like you're pouring water in their hands.
Absolutely. And it's a shame because I just feel like if we really want to make a statement and we keep saying Black Lives Matter, how much does it matter? How much are you willing to invest in yourself and in your community? To me, that shows whether or not we matter. So I started financial education and financial literacy, and I started with the middle schools and the high schools across the city. And I go in there and I talk to them. I've developed comic books and I've done online training because I think kids need to understand the importance of money. Not only the kids, but the parents. So I have a new book that will be coming out in the coming month, and it's called Kingdom Stewardship. And that book is a workbook that will teach you everything from paying yourself, saving, banking, credit management, setting up a spending plan, budget management, debt management, retirement planning, protection planning, investing, establishing a side gig, everything, Dominique, everything, because we no longer have the luxury to sit back. We have to, when everybody said our vote count, yes, it counts, but also our economic power counts. And we have to take it back. So my new book, Kingdom Stewardship, is a workbook. It walks you through all kind of steps. I help you set up a spending plan, no matter whether you're living paycheck to paycheck or not, doesn't even matter. Whether or not you are unemployed, it doesn't even matter. We start where you are. Start where you are. And you'd be surprised of where you can be in the next 6 months to a year if you just start where you are and be realistic about where you are.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. And I feel like people are waking up, especially in the religious communities, especially the Christian communities, about finances. Because I mean, there's the whole thing where people like to misquote the Bible and say money is the root of all evil, where we all know it don't say that if you actually read the
No, it
darn
does not.
passage.
And that's amazing that you say that because we are habitual for taking somebody else's word for something. Our community has been bamboozled, as people say, and hoodwinked because we don't want to read. We don't want to take the time and the opportunity to dig our own selves out. Money is not the root of all evil. The love of it is the root of all evil. Okay. But what the Bible clearly states, and that's why people need to get my newest book, Kingdom Stewardship, because I outline 125 scriptures from the Bible that tells you everything. And nobody even knew credit management, debt management, protection planning, retirement, investing. All of that is in the Word of God. I didn't make this up. It's all there. And if I could just tell people a little bit about my background, I have a background in finance and business, but I was a financial advisor for many years. So I was certified in this. And I was a college professor in finance and business and international business. So I know what I'm talking about. And I think that we have to stop utilizing the tools and the resources that God has given us, which is our gifts and abilities and the economic power that He's given us, and we're just laying it down. We're laying it down when we go to the store and we spend $1,000 on a cell phone. We're laying it down. When you go and spend $500, $700 on a purse, you're laying it down. You got to pick up that sword that He's given us and be able to fight off these things that are coming against us. Economics and political are married together, and you will not survive in the coming generation if you're not prepared. You will not survive. I don't want to hear Black Lives Matter and then you're throwing your power away.
Ah, yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Because it's so darn true. It's so darn true. Heck, even Jesus had a treasurer. Even though he betrayed him,
Absolutely.
he still had a treasurer.
So, hey. And so, why did He need that person if He didn't have any money? What was the purpose of that person? Why do you need an accountant if you're broke? So, people need to realize it is not about religious, it is more about a way of life. It is a lifestyle. There is no reason why, after 400 years, we have not risen above the bottom. Every minority that comes to this country tramples over top of us because we have not realized the importance of our financial tools. We have not. I am not one of those people trying to sell any get rich quick schemes. That's not going to work. What I am saying is that you already have the power with those dollars in your hand. I don't care if people say, well, a lot of people got laid off from COVID-19. Absolutely. I understand that. But I also know that COVID-19 and your layoff is not going to be for the next 20 years. So, what are you going to do differently when this is all over with financially? What are you going to do differently with your economic power when this is all over with? Are we still going to go back to business as usual? Are we still going to go to the store and purchase, all of these products from other minorities and their communities are thriving and our communities are constantly failing? Are we going to keep doing that? Or are we going to say, time out for this? My protest is my economic power. That is my protest.
Ah, yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Because it's so darn true. Because it's like, yeah, the protests, it's all well and good because folks need to get their voices heard, but they
Yeah,
also
yeah.
need to think about an economic plan and work on the economic front. So, what is one or three steps that folks can take today, no matter what status they're in, to actually get closer to getting to better manage their finances?
I think the first thing that you got to do is you have to realize what is your perspective. Let me say it like this. What is your perspective about money? There's a very emotional side of money for our community. You know that? Our community uses money because of emotional things. If somebody, you know, we have a culture of people who think things define them. So we will go out and buy the latest and greatest because that makes us feel important. It doesn't matter that you have a Louis Vuitton bag and you have no money in it. You just spent $1,000 for a pocketbook and you have about $5. That doesn't even matter. But when people see my bag, they will think I have it together, even though I don't. So I think the first thing we have to do is we got to change our perspective about money. We need to realize that it is a tool, it is a resource, and it should be used to better our lives, not to maintain your life, not to survive off of. You should be able to look at your resources and say, okay, what can I do? I'm going to tell you something. I did a course, an online course a few years ago, and I said to, and these were people who were living paycheck to paycheck. And what I did for them, they had gotten an income tax check. And I said, you're already living paycheck to paycheck. So give me 1,000. They had gotten, I think, like $3,800 from an income tax check. I say, give me $1,000 out of that income tax check and watch me change your life with that $1,000. And you know what I did? I started off with them, first of all, paying themselves. I said, take 10% of this $1,000, which was $100. I said, and this is for you. Let's go and open up an online savings account where you don't have access to go down the street and get it. So we put that $100 in there. We're down to $900 now. Okay. I said, let's look at your bills. I said, a lot of times people try to avoid them because it's like, I have too many. But what I tell people is, let's sit down, let's look at a spending plan, and let's look at where we can make a positive effect in your bills. So if you have bills, one bill is $175, you have another one that's $400, you have another one that's $1,000. Take that $175 from your $900 that you have and pay that bill off. What is that going to do for you? That's going to give you momentum. You have finally clawed yourself out of one debt. You know how exciting that is for people who've been in debt all of their lives? That's a major step. Okay, so we have taken 10% and we have paid ourselves. We took another like 15% and we just paid off a debt. We didn't pay on the debt, we paid it off. We look now and we say we got about $600 or $725. So now start looking at things that, okay, I don't have a emergency fund yet. Okay, take $200 out of that $725, put it in an emergency fund. Go to the bank and ask them, hey, if I can set up direct deposit with you guys for $200 or $300 a month, can I get a CD that is 3% for 6 months? You'd be surprised at how many bank products are out there. So now you have an emergency fund. You have paid off a debt. You have paid yourself, okay? And you still have $500 left. Do you see what I'm doing here? You see what I'm doing? I am changing the whole perspective with just $1,000 of money that you weren't expecting anyway. And you still are living paycheck to paycheck, but something is changing, Dominique. What is changing? It's your mindset, your thought process. That's number one. You have to change your perspective. Number two, you have to be willing to make some sacrifices. People don't like to do budgeting, they don't like it. But what I say is, I know how to set up a $0 budget where, with all the money that you have right now, we can find ways to pay stuff and to save without even adding any additional money to you. So you have to change your perspective. Then you got to be willing to make sacrifices. Then thirdly, what I would say is that you have to be committed to the plan. I developed plans for people, personal financial plans, and I develop them for 30 days, 60 days, 180 days, or a year. And I make people commit to it because you cannot change your life unless you're committed to making a change. So those are the top three things. I don't care where you are financially. Commit to wanting to make a change. Even if, when I say pay yourself, let's say you're already in debt. So what is $10? I believe in the envelope system. I usually tell people go to the dollar store, get a package of white envelopes, it's $1. Take that envelope, one of those envelopes out, and write on it, saving me. And every time you get a paycheck or some type of income, put $10 to $20 in that envelope. Do whatever you can to not bother that envelope every month. People are saying, well, what's $10? What's $20? It's a big deal because what it's about, Dominique, is changing your mindset first. And then it is about committing to a plan. Those things have to work together. It's a marriage.
Oh, yeah, that's right. And you can put that engagement ring on your credit card when it's all paid off. That's right.
Absolutely. It is. And you know what? And I often tell people when you pay off a debt like that, go out and celebrate. Now, I'm not saying go out and spend major money. I'll say something like go to Starbucks, get you a latte or a frappuccino. If you don't like Starbucks, go to Dunkin' Donuts, get you a latte or something, and sit there and drink it and just think about the fact that you're digging yourself out. You're saving yourself one step at a time. And it's not major changes that we have to do, but we have to do it. When we go out here and we rally and then we go back to business as usual, how are you saying Black Lives Matter if you're not willing to make a change? I would love to work with that group to help them to realize that it's about economics. And I would love to get all of those people to just start putting $5, $10 aside, and let's develop an innovation and a creativity fund and start going out and creating things, start creating jobs for these gifted and talented. That's what I would love for Black Lives Matter to be doing, so that you don't have to be in the communities that these that are targeted, because now you're above that. You're starting to do things differently. You're not on the corner trying to sell drugs, or you're not, running down the street, doing whatever, any kind of illegal things that people are doing. You're changing your perspective and changing your mindset. And Dominique, this is what it's all about.
That's right. Got to change that mindset indeed. Add some coins to that brain. That's right. Got to change it.
Absolutely. And we're making light of it, but it's true because we cannot if somebody controls your mind, they control everything. They control everything.
Heck, you can say that again. That's actually the main reason why a lot of people are in trouble the way they are in various ways. And that's kind of the reason why mental health is such a huge topic nowadays,
Absolutely.
because once you get someone by their mind psychologically, then everything else will be easy pickings. So it's so true. You're right.
Absolutely. And the major things that affect our community is economics. If you were to sum everything up that affects us, it's economics. And this is the reason why a lot of us are living paycheck to paycheck. This is why a lot of us can't afford to live in better housing. This is why a lot of us cannot afford to get better jobs because we don't have the money to get the education. It's economics. And I would love for us to say, time out. I don't want to live like this no more. I'm not saying that you got to walk around here and never spend a dime, but what I'm saying is you need to be more conscious of your money and look at where you're putting your money, because that is a tool and is a resource. And what you're doing is you're giving somebody else power over you. You wonder why other minority communities are doing so well, because we gave our power away when we gave our money away.
Ah, yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Well, I love the knowledge that you're dropping on us. I love the knowledge that you're dropping on us. And the beautiful thing is that it's something that a lot of folks need to hear and really get into their heads. So, with all of your magical experience, is there a question you wish you be asked more often when you're being interviewed, especially on topics like this one?
You know, one of the things that a lot of people ask me is, if it's that easy, why are people not doing it? It's not that easy. That's why. It's not that easy. It is not easy to pull yourself out of a financial hole when you have your mindset is already damaged. I would love for people to realize their value and the power that they hold. And when you look at that dollar, that George Washington or that Abraham Lincoln or the Jackson or the Franklin or the Grant, whatever one you're holding, look at that and say, okay, I am going to use this because it is a tool, it is a resource, and I'm going to make a better decision with this than I have in the past, because Black lives do matter, and I am taking control of it today. I'm doing that. I'm not allowing, I'm not giving my power away to anybody else or any other community. I'm taking it back. That's what I really want people to be saying when they look at their money. This is my power, and I got to learn how to use it more effectively. And to start, I always talk about lucrative side gigs and the fact that there's so many talented people in our community. Why are we not utilizing our talents? I taught business courses and entrepreneurial courses for years. And one of the major things about it was I love to see people realizing their gifts and using them for the betterment of their own community, their own family. And I
That's
know
right.
I can be loquacious sometimes, but I'm very passionate about this.
Hey, it's all good. It's all good. I like having passionate people on the show. Well, to be honest, if you weren't passionate, I probably wouldn't have you on the show in the first place, to be honest. And because you got to really know what you're talking about when you're publishing your work and actually letting the world you're an expert at this, because folks need true experts and true expert advice. And heck, even phrase that you mentioned earlier, how it's really not that easy. And it's so darn true with finances, because it's like you get on a certain path, you have that plan, and then life punches you in the face, Mike Tyson style, and then you're right back to square one. You have to find a way to regroup and get back on your feet.
Absolutely.
So you're so right about that.
But it's doable. My mantra is saving ourselves. We can no longer expect the government, we can no longer expect other interest groups. We have to save our own selves. If Black lives really matter, then start saving yourself. Take your economic power back, take your political power back. To me, that's when you truly can say Black lives matter.
That's right. Black dollars matter too. That's right.
Yeah, and the reason we know it matters is because we built so many other communities off the back of our dollars. It's time for us to build our own community. And I'm not saying, I don't want anybody saying she's a separatist and she's telling us, no, that is not what I'm saying. What I am saying is, don't you want a better future for your children and your grandchildren than you have?
Oh, of course. Of course.
A lot of people say that, but what are you going to do differently to ensure that they get that? We have to take our economic power back by looking at our money differently and looking at it as a tool, as a resource, as an investment in our in our future. I used to hear people say, oh, you can invest in your future. Okay. And there's a lot of people who don't see a future. You have a lot of younger people who think, oh, I might not even be around. But what if you are and you didn't make an investment in yourself and in your community? You've done yourself a disservice. You've done your community a disservice. It's really sad when I go into high schools and I see young people who don't even believe that tomorrow they'll even be here. You know the tragedy that is going on in Baltimore City with the violence. They don't even think tomorrow may come for them. And that's a sad commentary for our young people to have to, that's a heavy weight that they shouldn't be having to bear at 15 and 16 years old.
Yep, you can say that again. And it goes back to the whole theme of the show of economic empowerment, especially for black folks in the city of Baltimore itself, because that's the reason why crime happens, because people don't have the financial wherewithal to support themselves and their families.
Absolutely. I wish I could just grab everybody and say, okay, let's start doing this for us. I know some people will get it and some won't, but I'm not going to stop because of the ones who won't, because I do believe that time and chance happens to us all and that they will get it. They will get it. It may not be today. It may be their children or their grandchildren. We're going to take our economic power back. We're not going to lay down our power anymore and just give it to people and walk away and wonder why our community is still in the same state it's been in for the last 400 years since we've come to this country.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. And speaking of years, are coming down to the question that every guest gets to receive, and that is if you're to wake up tomorrow and you're 25 again, but this time in 2020, with all of your amassed knowledge and experience, what advice would you give to yourself?
I would tell myself that economics is more important than people told me. And I would also use my innovation and creativity so that I would have amassed businesses that would be able to support my community today. That's what I would have done differently if I had the opportunity. I would have used all of my creativity and innovation to build businesses that would have been able to sustain my community today.
Solid advice right there, because it's so darn true, and it's a good thing that a lot more people are starting to figure out that we've been bamboozled and folks have been putting brown paper bags over our minds and hiding us from stuff. So
Yep,
solid truth right there. Solid truth.
absolutely. It's disheartening, but it's a wake up call, and we have to be prepared to take the challenge. And as I stated before, I am Shane Laron, and I started my company, Person Finances for Us, like 6, 7 years ago, because I'm serious about us rising above the level that people have kept their foot on our necks for years. It's not just what we saw a month ago, it has been going on for 400 years. It's systemic. It's systemic, and it will not stop until we take our power back.
Amen right there. We definitely got to take our power back. And for those who want to keep in contact with you and all that you're doing, and heck, even pick up some copies of your magical book, what's the best way for folks to reach out to you?
All of my books are on Amazon. Kingdom Stewardship, a workbook, will be on Amazon next month. I have several other books that are out there, and they can reach out to me at personfinancesforus@gmail.com, or on Facebook is Person Finances for Us. And if they want to call me, my number is 443-473-8200. And I would look forward to, any kind of collaboration to get our communities back, to get our power back. Because I believe Black Lives Matter, but I also realize that in order for other people to see our value, we have to take our economic power back.
Amen to that. Amen to that. Well, there you have it, folks. Check out her magical Amazon author page in the show notes. Pick up some copies of the magical book and check out the Facebook page as well. And reach out to the wonderful Shang. And don't slide into the DMs. Just work on the collaboration part. All right, that's right. Just work on the collaboration to get this green tower higher than all the skyscrapers because we need the finances in order, in magical order indeed. So, any parting words for the folks still listening?
Yes, I really want people to realize the importance of saving ourselves. We have to save ourselves. We no longer, after this pandemic and this racial tensions that keep erupting in our nation, we no longer can sit back and just wait for things to happen to us. We have to take our economic and political power back.
Hey there, buddy. Looks like you made it to the end of this episode. Since you made it to the end of this episode, do both of us a favor and stop being greedy. Stop it right now and share this episode with your friends and your fellow podcast lovers, especially those who have book clubs and want to listen to the authors who write some amazing books. Be sure to check out the rest of the backlog too while you're at it and share all those too.